It's Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for Season 8 of The Walking Dead. In this video, we're going to be talking about how will All Out War impact the Grimes family. So, in this specific video, we're going to be comparing the Grimes family on the TV show, which consists of Rick Grimes, Michonne, and Carl Grimes, and the Grimes family from the comic book, which consists of Rick Grimes, Carl Grimes, and Andrea. We're going to talk about how the events of Season 8 and All Out War will impact and change the Grimes family. So in this video, we're not only going to be talking about some comic material, so it's going to include some comic spoilers, but also I'm going to be incorporating some recent rumors that have gone around, some spoilers and things like that about a major event that may come up in Season 8. So if you don't know about that spoiler and you don't want things to be spoiled for you, then I suggest you not watching the rest of this video and moving to a different video. I got a lot of videos this week regarding, different things and predictions and things like that, so you can go and check those out. But this specific video, just like two other videos I did, we are going to be incorporating some spoilers that have been going around. Now, I'm not a big fan of spoilers. I don't want things to be spoiled for me, but this is one of those scenarios where something was spoiled for me coming up in Season 8, which I'm really disappointed about. But that being said, this is your last spoiler warning, so this video is going to contain some comic and also some rumors and spoilers from the TV show. So that being said, let's get right into this. So of course, if we take a look at the material from the comics, going into this war and the events of this war will not necessarily change the Grimes family in a negative way. So in the comics, when the war is done, of course, Negan is defeated, but he's not killed. He's put in a jail cell. And, he begins to have this kind of relationship with not only Rick, but Carl, in a way that, they talk and things like that. Not necessarily a friendly talk, but they're basically connecting in a hero, anti-hero kind of way. And there's really nothing in the comics that changes the Grimes family in a negative way. However, in the TV show, that might change because, of course, based on the spoiler that came out, one of the major casualties from this war could be Carl Grimes. And, we could end up seeing Carl die during this war. And he could be one of the most impactful and devastating deaths that we've ever seen for a long, long, long time. Not only for the audience, but for Rick himself. Because I think for Rick, the closest person he's ever lost in this post-apocalyptic world has been Lori. And after that, he hasn't really lost anyone that close to him. So losing someone like Carl could potentially really change him and, have a big impact on him. Like I said in my other video, there's a lot of things that do kind of make sense for them to go that route and kill Carl, even though it's a risky move and they're going to have to do a lot of remixing and it's going to be difficult for them to pull off, but they could do it. And with Judith being alive, they could kind of have that play out because, of course, Judith in the show will be more or less the same age as Carl was in the comics after the war. So, they could potentially give Carl's comic arc to Judith going forward after he's killed off. However, there's a bunch of things that don't necessarily work. So going back to what I was saying, Carl's death will definitely impact not only Rick, but Michonne as well. So the Grimes family will definitely be devastated and it would change their lives forever. And, things may not necessarily work the same way for the Grimes family as they do in the comics. In the comics, after the war, there's really nothing there in terms of Rick losing someone as close to him as his own son. So losing Carl will definitely change things in terms of comparing comic Rick and TV show Rick. It might not necessarily change the storyline going forward because they might, be able to pull it off. But that being said, it will change Rick in terms of what he's gone through and the things that he's experienced. He has lost his son and it's going to have a big impact on him. Now, that being said, there is a part of the story in a future storyline that will not work if Carl is dead. In my opinion, it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for them to pull off that story arc after the war with a new beginning coming up and the introduction of the Whisperers. if Carl is dead. So of course the connection between Carl and the Whispers is Lydia. So obviously Lydia is Alpha's daughter, and Alpha is the next big villain that we're gonna see. So if they kill Carl off, how are they gonna adapt and incorporate Carl's storyline in the comics, in the show? So one way for them to do that is, of course, like I said, to give Judith Carl's storyline. Well, that would mean that they would need to change the gender of Lydia and have Alpha's child not be a female and make her be a male. So that way, we would have Judith and this new character that's going to be adapting Lydia's story arc. That's the only way it could go. But even that will not work, because one major thing with the Whispers was Lydia and how she was treated back at the Whispers camp, and what Alpha was allowing to be done to her, and basically ignoring everything that was going on with her and the things that the other members of the Whispers were doing to Lydia. So I feel like if they're gonna make Lydia be a male in the show, they're gonna have to remix the story surrounding that. So that's gonna be a big remix, and I feel like that may not necessarily work. No matter what they do, that's just gonna change, and the change may not necessarily feel the same. Now, the other way they could make it go is to have Judith and Lydia be lesbians, and of course, Walking Dead is not shy about this. They've done that with Tara. They've, been doing that a lot in the comics recently as well, so they could potentially do that. But is that really going to have the same impact? And I'm not saying this to condemn them from doing that. No, that's perfectly fine for them to make characters different like that and remix things and, introduce diversity in the show and the comics. But I feel like adapting that story from the comics that's surrounding Lydia and Carl will not work if they make it so that it's Judith and another female character. So I feel like that would not necessarily work. But overall, I definitely feel a little disappointed that it was spoiled for me, obviously, but also that they're choosing to do this, because I feel like no matter what they try to do, it's just gonna go south real soon. And, they could end up pushing themselves into a corner again, just like they did with Andrea's death in the show. And, they're gonna have to do a lot of remixing that may not necessarily be beneficial for the show. But that being said, I'm definitely excited to see how they can pull it off. And if they can do it, if they can pull it off, and if they do it right, it might be the greatest remix they've ever done. And it might be a great shocking event in season 8. I feel like if they do it right, it could be great. But I strongly believe that they can't pull it off without something going wrong. I want to know everybody's opinions about this. What do you think about this death that's going to be coming up with Carl? And how do you think they're going to adapt the comic material in the show if Carl is dead? That's it for this video. See you next time for another super video.